Yes, guys, I'm Si. Welcome to Ace Podcast Nation. Welcome to our Cardiff City Championship show, the weekly show where we talk all things Cardiff City, but also we'd like to add a bit of Championship in. And of course, this week is the game that we all look out for in the calendar. All us Cardiff fans, the Swansea fans, we all look out for this fixture in the calendar. It's always a big one. Guys, if you prefer your podcast in audio form, then please do check out the Sports Social Podcast Network, the best podcast network out there, the only all sports podcast network in the UK. And they feature some of the biggest sports podcasts in the world. You can check out anything from David Seaman's football podcast to rugby podcasts and all the rest of it. Check out the sportssocial.co.uk, including all of Ace Podcast Nation's content. And if you'd like to support Ace Podcast Nation, then of course you know what to do. It's patreon.com/Ace Podcast Nation. The more members that we get there, the more content we can do, including adding match reactions to the roster of content, which is insane at the moment. This week, the roster of content, the content coming out at Ace Podcast Nation this week is ridiculous. We have the Cardiff City show, Cardiff and Swansea preview live tonight. We have the Rhodri Giggs on football tomorrow, and the special introduction episode of Rise of the Panthers ahead of the new season premiere of Rise of the Panthers on Friday, following a grassroots football team from Cardiff as they have game week 1. They played their first game of the season last Saturday, having jumped up 2 leagues following promotion. How did they get on? It's very interesting. That series will include match highlights, interviews with the players, interviews with the managers, and of course, voiceovers from myself. It's going to be a very fun series. Remember why you fell in love with football all those years ago. Take it back to grassroots. It's a fun series. I got to be honest, it's been a lot of fun making that first episode this week. So do yourself a favour. After Rhodri Giggs and football tomorrow, download or watch the introductory episode, which is a sit-down interview with the manager. And he basically tells the story as we sat down, me and him sat down at Eat Sleep Media, and we told the story of the team. And like the overall story of the team is a bit of a heart-wrenching one, which then kind of develops into one of pride and happiness. And it's a mental thing. But please do check it out tomorrow after Rhodri Giggs and football, introductory episode. Friday night, the premiere episode of Rise of the Panthers, including highlights from match week 1. It doesn't disappoint, I'll tell you that much. There's goals, there's fights, there's all sorts. No problem. Get in there. However, we know what we're all here for. We're all here to talk Cardiff City versus Swansea. So why don't we do just that? Obviously, being a Cardiff City show, we are predominantly going to focus on Cardiff City. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk Swansea first, as you do, because we're not going to talk about them for a massive amount of time. Listen, it's if Swansea win on Saturday, there's 5 on the bounce that they've won South Wales derbies, and I think you'd be foolish to look at the form table and go, "Oh yeah, Cardiff going to win that easily." For whatever reason, probably a whole host of different reasons, Cardiff City have not turned up in the South Wales derby for a while, if we're being honest. For whatever reason, the players freeze or players didn't care enough. I don't know what it is, but unfortunately, they just haven't turned up. However, on the subject of not turning up, Swansea City have not turned up for this season yet. It has been, if you're a Swansea fan, painful viewing. They sit down there in the bottom 3. They only have 2 points for the season. They've lost 3 of the 5 games, and it's been a difficult start. But then I compare the teams that Swansea have played, and I compare the teams that Cardiff have played in the opening 5 games. And I would argue that Cardiff have had a much tougher, on paper, opening 5 games. Not that Swansea have had easy games, but by any means. But So they started off with a home game against Birmingham. I think you should be looking to win your home games. They drew that 1-1. They played in the EFL Cup against Northampton Town. They won that comfortably, I would imagine, with a rotated team. Then they were away to West Brom. That is a very tough game. They lost that 3-2. Then they were home to Coventry. Again, it's not an easy game by any means, but you should be looking to win your home games. They drew that. And then they lost away at Preston 2-1, where they were particularly poor. And then in the EFL Cup, they lost 3-2 to Bournemouth before losing against Bristol City 2-1 at home. And this was the one where, if I'm a Swansea fan, I'm starting to worry, because I thought Swansea were, dreadful against Bristol City. Bristol City were convincing winners, and ultimately, even though Swansea took the lead, I believe, Bristol could have been 3, 4, 5. Swansea were dreadful. But let's be honest, okay? Form goes out the window in these types of games. These derby games, form goes out the window. And I look at the Swansea team that they put out against Bristol, right? The starting 11. And look, anyone who kind of follows my shows, and particularly when I've talked about Wales, Ben Cabango, I'm a big fan of. I think he's a fantastic defender. He's a good footballer. I think he's good on the ball. He's good defending. Kyle Norton, very experienced defender. And Wood, I don't think that's a terrible back three. It's then when you kind of move through the teams, I think that there's a bit more weakness. Cullen has picked up a few goals playing in that role just behind the striker. They almost play 2 number 10s behind Yates. But their squad is just nowhere near what it has been in years go by on paper. But again, I say, form just doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. And Swansea will, if I'm Swansea, opening 5 minutes, I'm going to try and kill the crowd, control the ball, try and hit Cardiff on the break. But most of all, just keep the ball. That's what my game plan would be, just to quieten down the crowd. Because if it stays 0-0, if Swansea can nick a goal on the break, the crowd will get tense. The crowd will get frustrated simply because of recent times in the South Wales derby. We all know how bad Cardiff have been in this fixture. It won't take a lot for the crowd to become anxious. And Swansea have to play on that. Michael Duff has got to set him up to do so. I'm going to talk about what I think there's a possibility that Baloo might do for Cardiff. I've got a couple of theories. I do think he's going to come up with something a bit outside the box, and I think he's going to have a plan for this game. There's 2 ways I think he could possibly go. Swansea obviously play the 3 at the back, which Cardiff have done in recent times. Unfortunately, as we talked before, when they rotate the side in the EFL Cup, it works very well. When they play it with the first team, it doesn't seem to go as well. But look, anyone who's thinking Swansea being rubbish this year and it's going to be a walkover for Cardiff, I think you'd be maybe kidding yourself, a bit overconfident in that case, honestly. Simply because I believe that the Swansea players will be up for it. They're coming off a break, so that bad form is not as fresh in the memory. We know how they will try to play football, although their football has not been good this year either. Their traditional way of playing has not been very Swansea-like either. But let's have a look at some of the comments and see what you guys are saying so far. Jaden says, can't wait for Saturday. Reese says he's dreading Saturday, never turn up. Matthew, late to the party, welcome. O'Dowder's out for Saturday, says Jaden, yeah. Will says, going to be a difficult game, but hoping we smash them. Reese says, Swans always go into this game in shit form. They take us apart and buy their manager more time. Jack, mate of mine, said last season he knew beating us would buy Martin time and they wanted him gone. Think this game needs a Cyprus and a Wintle front 2 in front of the defence, as we need legs, as we know they love to move the ball around. I think Rawls will be just chasing the ball otherwise. So Yeah, I think I certainly think there's an argument for that, but I think in defence or against that maybe is the Swansea haven't been moving the ball very well this year. They haven't been playing in that traditional Swansea way, and they haven't been playing good football. They were awful against Bristol City at home as well. That was, and they were just not very good. Bristol had 16 shots on goal, only 4 on target, both teams. But I mean, Swansea just weren't good. Bristol had 8 corners as well. It's difficult, mate. Right? It's difficult. Jane says we're due a big win. Yeah, we are. Cardiff are due a win, let alone a big win. Bristol had 2 or 3 goals disallowed. Yeah, Bristol were decent, but I just thought ultimately Swansea were not. Swansea were dreadful. They haven't been good all season, which is a problem. So moving on to Cardiff, I think the manager is going to have a plan. There's 2 kind of ways I'm leaning towards, which and I'm guessing just by what I've seen of him and what I think he might do, players in and players out. So first of all, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the team that I would pick. He says. So this is the side that I would pick. Marginally, there's a few marginal decisions in here. Let's see if I can bring it up on my screen. But yeah, let me go on. Let me know what you guys would like what your side would be. But this is what I would pick, not what I think the manager would pick. So I've gone with Romeo at right back, and I've gone Perry Ng at left back. I don't think this is a game where you can carry someone. And for whatever reason, Jamalu Collins has looked a bit shaky recently. So I would take him out of the firing line for this game. I would go with McGuinness and Gutas for this game, purely because they've played together the most. You've got the Panzo, the new centre-back. But I think Gutas and McGuinness have probably earned the right to keep that place. I've gone with Jack Alnwick. I don't think that's what the manager will pick. Then I've gone with Siopis, and I think it is a bit of a coin toss with who I would go for between Rolls and Wintle, because I think Swansea will try and get at us, particularly with the 3 at the back in the wide areas. So I think you need legs. I've gone for Rolls because I've decided that Swansea haven't been as good as they have previously on the ball this season. So Joe Rolls has been excellent since Siopis has come in. He's been back to his self from a few years ago. I've then gone with Carlin Grant off the left. I thought he was excellent against Ipswich, particularly in the first half. I thought he really got at him, and I thought he really drove. I thought he did a good job. Obviously, we saw Tanner on the right, but he got hauled off at halftime, and then got a bit of criticism in the post match. So with Bowler back, I'm very much expecting Josh Bowler to come in on the right, Ramsey for the left, Callum Robinson up front. For me, if he's fit, he's the best finisher at the football club. So get him up there, get him behind, put him under pressure. Early goals settles Cardiff, and I think we can go on and win it. But then it is difficult. But this is what I think the manager will. So there's 2 things which I think the manager could possibly do. First of all, I think he could match up Swansea's system for obvious reasons, to try and negate their wing backs getting in around the sides, particularly in the midfield areas. If you've got the 2 at the base or the pivot, you are susceptible to those sort of wing backs getting in that space. So if they were going to play this, I think obviously Panzo goes in there, McGuinness, Gutas is your 3. I've got Jack Alnwick in there. That was only because this lineup builder website didn't have Runnison on it. So I think the manager will pick Runnison. I think he made that clear when he dropped Alnwick. So I'm thinking the manager picks. And remember, this is what I think the manager's going to do, not necessarily what I would. I think he goes Runnison as keeper, Panzo, McGuinness, Gutas as his 3. Then I think Josh Bowler will be the right wing back, Perry Ng on the left. Siopis will play deeper as a sort of defensive midfielder, and then you've got roles. You may even see Siopis as a 2 with Ramsey in front, and then I've gone Carl Grant and Ugbo, but it'll be more like Ugbo with Grant and Ramsey behind him, I would think. So that's what I think in terms of if the manager decides to go with matching up against Swansea system. If he doesn't and he sticks with what he knows, the 3-5-2 hasn't worked for Cardiff in the league. In the EFL Cup, it's worked very, very well. In the league, it has not. So this is potentially what I think he could do. I think he picks Collins. I think NG's right back. I think it'll be Runnison in goal because I think he'd made that clear that that's his number one when he dropped Alnwick in the last game. It's disappointing. I don't think Alnwick deserves that, and I think Alnwick deserves to be the number one until he makes a mistake that costs him his space. I think the manager will probably bring in Panzo and McGuinness to play alongside him, although he might go with Gutas because that's his man. But I think Panzo was brought in for a reason. He's good on the ball. He's good defensively. I don't think he'll waste a great deal of time to bring him in. But like I said, when I did my prediction or what I would do, I would probably lean towards McGuinness and Gutas myself, just because they've played together for this game. It's a big, big game. Then I'm guessing if he goes with this 4-2-3-1, I think he will go with Wintle and Siopis. Gives you a bit more protection. Wintle's got the legs to sort of cover that wide area. Siopis has got the legs, so you may be able to protect yourself against those wing backs. Ramsey can also drop in as well, and Bowler does. Bowler on the right, Grant on the left. Both will do the defensive work, which the manager wasn't happy that Tanner didn't do. Ramsey at 10. And again, I've gone with Robinson as the number 9. I think that was probably a bit hope more than anything, because actually I think the manager will go with Mate or Ugbo. And we've discussed before, it ultimately comes down to with those two. Do you go with Ugbo, who's got a knack of being in the right time at the right place at the right time, or do you go with Mate, whose finishing's been a bit wayward, but his link-up play is night and day compared to Ugbo's? And it kind of goes like that. If I was choosing between those two, I'm going with Ugbo, because I think you can get away with his link-up play if you play him as an out-and-out 9. You've got Ramsey there to link everything in together. So I think, yes, it's an interesting one, but I'd like to see Robinson in there, so I put him in there anyway. I'm going to just take them off the screen because I don't like it. So let's have a look at some of the reactions to that. Tommy Tornado in the house says, please, please, please smash them. Reese says they've been playing their fullbacks as centre half. So firstly, if Ugbo plays, I wouldn't play Mate. Then play when both play, one's on the wing and drifts narrow, offering no width. Yeah, I think it's got to be Bowler and Grant. Not that I think Tanner's done anything wrong, but the manager clearly was not happy with Tanner's performance. Elsewhere, he took him off at half time and he criticised him a little bit. And from what I gather, it was that he wasn't working back and helping the fullback. So you get that from Bowler. He will do the defensive work, and Grant to a lesser extent as well. Jaden says Town's going to be nuts on Saturday. Yeah, Saturday night in Town is going to be absolutely just insane. I don't even know what they're thinking. Reece says, can't argue with that. Robinson owes his performance against them after the red card, but their lot will target him now to try and get him to lose his cool again. Yeah, and he's ultimately got to control himself, and he's got to keep his head. And what a way to repay the fans. What a way to repay himself is to start, perform, and really just get stuck in and score some goals. Reese says, I'd be disappointed if Runnison's ahead of Alnwick. Alnwick has done a solid job so far, and disappointed to see him dropped. Yeah, I thought he was really, really unfortunate to be dropped, but I thought it sent a clear message that they brought Runnison in. And I think I had said that before, and Runnison had been brought in on loan to be the number one. It was just that they hadn't expected Alnwick to be quite so good, quite so dominant in his area. Shot everything about his game actually has been superb all season. I thought he was very unfortunate to be dropped, and I felt like they should have kept him in until he made a mistake. because I felt he'd earned it. But it's the manager's got to make those tough decisions. He clearly wants Runnison for a reason. Jaden says Panzo, McGuinness and Gutas as a back three. Yeah, I've got a feeling that's what he might do to match up the systems. And I can see the reasons why. I think it makes sense. I think actually it could benefit us in some ways. I think the one issue is with no O'Dowda there, you've got to play probably Carl and Grant as the left wing back, unless I think I had NG at the left wing back, which is all right, like defensively, but I think you lose a bit going forward. Whereas Bowler can do the defensive bit and the attacking bit. And that's why O'Dowda's quite vital to that system, because he can do the defensive work and the attacking. But I don't know. NG, I do like NG, so we'll see. Reece says 70 minutes into the game, if their backline's looking tired, Ruben and Tanner coming on will cause problems. Yeah, as long as they don't play Ruben Corwell out wide, mate, I'm all right. Jaden says not driving Saturday, easier to get the bus. Yes, I think you're right there, mate. It's going to be interesting. I'm going to just bring this back up a minute, because there's something I want to discuss. Share that screen. Windows. Right. So you got with the three. So I think like Siopis is naturally going to drop in. And then you can either have like Ramsey and Rawls play in front of him as like a two. So you've got like a traditional three in the midfield, central midfield. Or you can play Rawls alongside Siopis and then Ramsey in front, sort of behind in the hole between the midfield and the strikers. And I do think like Perry NG is the left wing back. So I thought about this a lot today. With O'Dowda out, what do you go with? Do you go with Carl and Grant off the left or Robinson off the left and try and, use it more as an attacking outlet? But then you risk the whole point of potentially matching up their system is to negate their threats. Their biggest threats for me are the wide area. They're two wing backs and Cullen, who plays in that sort of number 10 just behind the striker role. So Siopis, you'd think, will be the ones to, or Wintle, if they both play, will be the ones who will try and target Cullen, stop him, starve him of possession, starve him of space, and try and do that. But then equally, if you've got two wingers as your wing backs, you almost risk not, if one of them switches off just for a moment, the Swansea wing backs can be in, and then suddenly you can find yourself in a bit of trouble. They can have a bit of an overload on the defence, or they can have a bit of space to run at the defenders. And with all due respect to Gutas, you wouldn't fancy him one-on-one with a winger running directly at him. I think that could be problematic. So I think if we are going to match him up, we need to get the right personnel in there. And I don't actually think the personnel that I've predicted is necessarily the right personnel for that system against Swansea. But I couldn't tell you off the top of my head who I think. I think Wintle potentially in there for Rawls, and that Perry NG on the left worries me a little bit going forward, but going back I think is good. Reece says, hope it's not too manic, mate. I'm working late Saturday. Mate's picking me up and driving straight to the game, so hoping to get there with some time to spare before kickoff. Yeah, good luck with that, my friend. That ain't going to be good. He also says, I don't like the inverted fullback we play. It's seen teams exploit the space left when NG goes forward. 4-2-3-1 for me. We've got the players to cause damage. We need them forward in space. Yeah, I think for the personnel we have, the 4-2-3-1 works the best. And I think if you put Wintle and Siopis in there, it gives the defence a bit of protection. NG will push up anyway. But I think I'd rather him see, because Bowler cuts in there's potential for NG to get up this right-hand side because Bowler will cut in to try and get a shot off. So if NG can get up there, there's a lot of space. And because Swansea play 3 centre-backs, there is that space out wide if the wing-backs are out of position. Carlin Grant, I thought, did a really good job against Ipswich on the left. He beat his man. He put some good crosses in. He had a goal disallowed. Like, he had a really sharp first half. So that's what we want to see, especially at home in a South Wales derby. You want to see him really getting at those Swansea centre-backs. Like, just like I said about Gutas, if Swansea can isolate those wide players running at Gutas, I think it's a problem. I think if you can isolate any of that Swansea back four versus Carlin Grant or Bowler, I think they'll leave them on their ass. I've got to be honest. I think they're both quick, both skillful. They've both got a shot on them if they cut inside, but they can both go on the outside as well. And look, Aaron Ramsey has been in sensational form. We need a big performance from him as well. He's got to step up and do his thing. It's these big games. These are the games we've signed him for. These are the games where we're looking for him to step up and be the leader that he is. Yeah, it's going to be a very, very tense game. I think it's, I say it again, absolutely outrageous that it is a quarter to 8 kickoff on a Saturday night. I cannot understand it. It makes no sense to me. And remember, look, Swansea's manager has only been there since June, much like Cardiff's manager was in the summer as well. So he's still finding his feet, still implementing his system. It just hasn't gone very well for Swansea so far this season. But don't let that kid you. A South Wales derby can go anywhere. But if Cardiff are going to break this run of 4 games, stop it going to 5, now I think today, like this weekend's the weekend, they're in poor form. Cardiff have played well all season, really, apart from the QPR game was the one game. The one outlier for me was the QPR game. If it's tight, and if Cardiff, if it's tight 1-0 Cardiff or something like that, 2-1, we have to stop this trend of late goals. We have to, and there's no better time to do it. Michael Duff has earned promotion to the Premier League. I think, is it 3 occasions or 2 occasions? He don't be kidded into thinking he's a terrible manager by the way they've started. He has done some things. He's got promoted to the Premier League a couple of times. He plays good football by and large, even if Swansea haven't been able to show it. He also got promoted with Cheltenham in 2021. There's a reason they brought him in. So we have to be aware of that. He's also done I think he got some playoffs and things like that. The player for me, like I know on the Cardiff City website, it says opposition focus key player, Jerry Yates, who they signed in the summer. Obviously, is 26 years old, scored 42 goals in 124 appearances with Blackpool previously. Clearly a good goal scorer at this level. But actually, I think for me, the player to watch is Liam Cullen. I think he's a really tidy footballer. I quite think he could do some damage. He's a Wales under 21 international, made 12 appearances for the under 21s, and had a little loan spell at Lincoln previously, where he made 20 appearances and grabbed a goal. Last year, he played 12 times for the Jacks, and 14 times, including Cup. And then, that was the season before. And then last year, he made 30 appearances, scored 9 goals. He's a very tricky player. He's quite clever. And you don't want to give him too much space because he will do some damage. And I think that's where that Siopis and Wintle combination that's why I think he might go for Wintle as well as Siopis, because Swansea play that system where they play 2 number 10s, and I think you need a bit of help for those defenders, especially if we do go with the 4-2-3-1. you need a bit of help with those number 10s because they'll drop too deep for the centre halves to follow them in. And Liam Cullen for me is the one that I think we need to keep quiet. You'd like to think Siopis can do a job on him, but let's not be naive and think that Swansea are doing terrible and we're going to come along. And what I hope we do, I hope we go and smash them into pieces. When you compare how Cardiff City have played this year, regardless of results, and you compare how Swansea have played this year so far in the first 5 games, when you compare how both teams have played, Cardiff are night and day the better team. Means nothing. Cardiff have dropped some points they shouldn't have, with late goals particularly. Swansea picked up 2 points in total. So it is what it is at the end of the day. I do, however, believe that it's Cardiff's for the taking. And I think if Cardiff can do what they're able to do and play the way they have this year, and they don't get overawed by the occasion, I believe that Cardiff will win if they play like they have this year so far. I actually, as I said when he signed, I think the signing of Jonathan Panzer will actually, I wouldn't go as far to say transform the way Cardiff play, but I think it will have a drastic effect on the way Cardiff play from the back, because I think he's the one kind of central defender that we're missing, is someone who's very, very good on the ball as well as able to defend. Not sure if this is the game to bring him in unless as part of a 3. But long term over the season, I think Panzo will be superb, and I think he's going to be a real asset to how Cardiff want to play and how the manager wants to play. Shout out to Will, who's walking 23 kilometres from Ystrad Mynach to the Swansea game. Obviously, raising yet more money. And I think, if I'm right in saying, mate, off the top of my head, the auction will be up or is up or something like that. So people will be going into hospitality, whoever won the auction. Fair play to you, my friend. The fisherman says the train's back. A crap. It's going to be a mad rush to a station. Yeah, nothing about it makes sense. Having it at 7:45 on a Saturday night. Nothing about it. And I just think from the trains home to the people drinking on the day to the Rugby World Cup game on at tea time, it's just going to be brutal. Will says, keep your eyes out for on the big screens at halftime. Yeah, make sure you do support the boy. He's doing that big old walk on the way to the game on Saturday to continue and finish raising money for the Peter Whittingham Foundation. If you haven't, make sure you donate to the Just Giving and all that good stuff. It's tremendous man he is. Tremendous man he is as well. Tony Tornado says, score prediction. Well, you're pissing on my chips, aren't you, mate? I was going to save that for the end. But go on, we'll go, because I might only do about 45 tonight. So score prediction for me, I think it's difficult, isn't it? Because my heart says 10-0 Cardiff. But I've got to be honest, my heart always says Cardiff, and I find it difficult to predict against them. But I've got to be honest, I'm finding it difficult outside of recent history in the derby, recent performances by Cardiff in the derby. I'm finding it difficult to find reasons why Swansea will beat Cardiff, because I think Cardiff have been so much better when you compare the two teams in how they've played this year. The team look like they're implementing the way the manager wants to play quicker than what Michael Duff has been able to do down the road. So my score prediction, I think, is going to be 3-1 to Cardiff City. And I think we will see goals from Aaron Ramsey, Callum Robinson. And I fancy Josh Bowler to get one as well. I think Josh Bowler could be an important player on the weekend. Reese says, where's everyone's seats for the game? Me and my brother at the back of the canton. Reese's mum says, I hope the players actually show up and play with a bit of passion and pride for teams before. So there's two ways to look at it, right? Is sometimes the passion and the pride thing I get it, like we always want to see that. But in these types of games, that can sometimes cause more problems. Like emotion and passion can cause actually more problems than what is needed. I think what we all agree is what we don't want to see is players who don't give a shit, or players who are just not up for it, and players who just go through the motions. We want the players to care, but I want the players to perform. And I want the players to perform how they have by and largely performed this season so far. Because I believe if they do that, they will win the football match. I think the manager is tactically very clever. I think he'll have a plan. So say, just for instance, like I highlighted that where I think Swansea could cause us problems is with their 2 number 10s. I would like to think the manager will have a plan for that. If Liam Cullum's the man who they think can do damage, then the manager will have a plan. I'm confident of that. Been impressed with Bullock so far. Excuse me. Right. Jaden says, I'm in the Canton race. I've been the same seat 14 years. Go on. Will says, auction was completed, meeting the 3 winners before the game and have something planned for them at half-time as well. Well done, mate. Can't fault you. It's a hell of a track. Lorna says, am I right? The motorway will be shut Friday, Saturday and Sunday from 8 p.m. till 5 a.m. I'm not sure about that, so you'll have to check that, mate. I'm not 100% sure, Lorna. But yeah, I think I did see something about a train strike. Can you imagine the mayhem? Do I know any Swansea fans? Yes, I do. I got a couple of close friends who were Swansea fans. T-Reb, very talented rapper, is a fully fledged Jack. He's not just from Swansea, he's like a hardcore Jack bastard. And I got a few mates who are from Swansea who kind of half follow it, like James Lilly and that. So yeah, there'll be some WhatsApp groups will be bumping on the weekend, hopefully in a good way. The kickoff is just insane. I just not. So Lorna says, I disagree, Si. The players of the last few years haven't had a clue about what the derby means. To them, it's just another game. Yeah, but no, what I mean is there's a thin line. So the comparison I always use is, if you remember when Wales, all these years ago, Wales played Northern Ireland for the first time in a while. And in the national anthems, Robbie Savage was like in tears, like he was so overcome with emotion in the national anthem. And then he got sent off stupidly within a few minutes or early in the game. And I just think, look at sort of Callum Robinson lost his head in the last one. I just think that, yes, I want to see the players care, and I want to see the players fighting for the shirt, but they should be doing that every week anyway. I don't need to see players beating their chests and getting the crowd up and all this shit. I don't need to see that. I need to see them playing like they care. I need to see them doing their jobs like they care. Getting stuck into tackles, yes, because that's their job. But I don't need to see the other stuff, which is kind of for show, because ultimately what it comes down to is you can do all that and still lose 3-0 because you weren't doing your jobs and you were too focused on being passionate and emotional and the rest of it. Like, just do your jobs properly, win your tackles, play football. And I firmly believe that if we play as well as we have done this season, that we'll have too much for Swansea. Even coming off the bench, I think we've got a better bench. I think we've got a better squad on the day. So ultimately, yes, I want to see the players really up for it. And yes, I want to see the players care and stuff like that. But more importantly is how they perform and they do their jobs properly. Tommy Tornado says, I feel a 3-0 win for the Bluebirds. Wow. Never known such confidence in recent times for the South Wales derby. Jaden says, let's hope our fans don't sing that sick song. Yeah, you've got to behave yourself in it ultimately. Let's have a look. Reese says, I'm a poor Talbot boy. All my mates growing up with Jacks. Only one is a real diehard Jack, though. And to be fair to him, he's a knowledgeable fan of football, so can have a proper footy chat. Yeah, and I think, look, there's it's one of them things, isn't it? Right? It's like as you get older, you kind of understand that. Like, well, so when I was like in my early 20s and my late teens, and this, like, I didn't even want to speak to people from Swansea or Swansea City fans, or like I just didn't want anything to do with them whatsoever. But then actually, as I've got older, like some of my closest friends are Swansea fans now, which I never would have thought would have been the case. But I kind of grew up a little bit and got past certain things within the football, and you know, it is what it is. I'm not saying this for everyone. Like, I don't criticize anyone if they still feel like that, but that's just me. Like in my early 20s and teens, and I was doing a lot of things I shouldn't have been doing. I didn't even want to have conversations with people from Swansea, let alone be friends with them and hang around with them. But I you know, away from this game, those guys are my mates, and I have conversations with them every day about different stuff, you know. But they'll be having it all week this week and all weekend, unless Cardiff get trounced, and then I'll go mysteriously quiet. And also, here's a question for the chat then, because Tommy's kind of alluded to it there, right? Would you prefer to finish comfortably top 10, maybe have like a late push for the playoffs, but lose to Swansea on Saturday? Or would you rather beat Swansea and be in the bottom half, flirt with relegation? You never know, you don't know which way it's going to go and stuff like that. And I put that to you guys. Would you rather beat Swansea, be in a relegation battle, or would you rather lose to Swansea, but be up there fighting for playoffs? Because it means, look, it does mean something to beat them always, of course it does. But also, you've got to do it in the other games. And whilst as I have said on numerous occasions, bar that QPR game, I think Cardiff have been pretty good this year. At times, I think they've been very good. And we should have more points than what we have at the moment. We've only got 4 points, but I feel like we've played well enough to have at least another 3, if not more. Tommy says, in other words, it's all very well. I've lost it. It's all very well beating Swansea, but we need to do it throughout the season. Fisherman says, I don't think it's like the Ninian Park derby, is it like in '93 with seats being thrown and horses on the pitch? Tommy says, top half playoff challenge. As much as I don't like it, Jacks. Yeah, mate. You just got to be realistic, mate, haven't you? Like, I think Cardiff squad's pretty balanced. I still think we're missing probably one fullback and a genuine top striker. Like, if we could have got Kiefer Moore, and I really, really fancied us to do a play, like be pushing for the playoffs. I think the manager's done a wicked job in wheeling and dealing and loans, and he's brought like real good balance to the team. I think I agree with you, Jade, and Jaden says we've been very unlucky. I think we have been unlucky, but at some point those late goals become a bit more than luck. So like the Leeds late goal was a deflection. I think the Leicester goal was a bit scrappy, and I think there was opportunities to clear that Leicester goal, the late goal that Leicester scored. There was opportunities to clear it, and the defenders kind of panicked and sliced it and whatever. And also Mayte misses a chance that he should be scoring before that. So there's a point, or maybe even Leicester. If Mayte puts that chance away, maybe we hold on for the win. You just don't know how things pan out. Ipswich, you're 2-0 up and you lose 3-2. And look, Ipswich are at the top for a reason. They've been very, very good all last year and this year as well. They've started off where they left off last year. I thought Cardiff were very poor against QPR. But then I thought Sheffield Wednesday, I thought we were really good. And I thought, actually, it was nice to score a late goal for a change. So yeah, I think we have been a bit unlucky. Tommy Tornado says Kiefer Moore and Ramsey playing in the same surroundings for club and country would have been great. Yeah, I think that's one to keep an eye on in January. Still, I think there's still an opportunity to bring him in on loan, maybe, depending on what's happening with Bournemouth and where they are. Reece says Michael Duff got in trouble for saying he'd rather promotion than beat us, which is a common sense thing, but you can't say it. You beat them and it could kickstart your season. And that is the thing. Like, if Cardiff was to go and beat Swansea at home on Saturday comfortably, or just beat them, that gives everything in the club a massive lift coming out of the international break. Because the international break does kill momentum. And I feel like Cardiff had a bit of momentum going into the break, even though, we'd lost to Leicester. We'd won 2 on the bounce. 3 on the bounce. No, 2 on the bounce. And then obviously the Ipswich game sort of killed that. And then the international break denies you the opportunity to come back from it. And unfortunately, the international break is just a pain in the bum. But, like, in my opinion, like, it's not just the Swansea game. We've got Swansea, then we've got Coventry at home, and Sunderland and Blackburn away. Like, 4 massive games, So a win against Swansea sets and lifts the mood around the club and gets everyone right back in it and right back on it. And we know what this championship's like. Once you get a run of wins, 2-3 wins in a row, and you're shooting up the table. And I agree with what Jaden said. We have been unlucky. We've played good football, but it means nothing if you can't get points on the board. For so many years, Swansea played great football, but it didn't always mean that they got the rewards for the football they were playing. So I really would like to see Cardiff put a comprehensive performance in against Swansea, win, get that thing off their back of, you can't turn up for South Wales Derby, can't win a South Wales Derby. Get that off their back, beat them, and then go into that Coventry game at home full of confidence, big crowd, and really kick on from there. Reece says, as the game goes on, you can see our defenders getting nervous. And I think that's it, isn't it? It's like, ideal scenario is to get a couple of early goals, settle the team down. And then I think the manager made a couple of mistakes with his substitutions against Ipswich, which invited pressure. So we need to be careful of that side of things as well. But we've got a good bench, assuming he goes with the 4-2-3-1. Say he plays Rawls, you've got Wintle can come on and shore it up. You've got Panzo or one of the centre-backs who can come on and shore it up. We've got some defensive options who can come on and freshen things up without going like 2 banks of 5 and just back it off for 20 minutes to go. Reece also says they start making little mistakes and then you can see them all start. They panic. And they need a commander back there to organise them, no leaders. I think Mark McGuinness will grow into that eventually, but I agree he's not there yet. Gutas, I think, is supposed to be that, but I'm not wholly convinced by him. Going forward, maybe not for Saturday, but after Saturday, my 2 would be Panzo and McGuinness. But I think, Gutas is the manager's man, so I'd be surprised if it's McGuinness. I'd be surprised if it's not McGuinness who drops out. Got to be honest. Tommy says, do you think they'll ever address this international break? Can't stand it myself. Yeah, it is the worst international break in the whole calendar, because you're just getting into the season. Premier League and Championship teams are just building a bit of momentum, and then it's just like boom, boom, just kills it. For what? Absolute comical. I can't stand this. This international break in September is my least favourite. Rob. So just to finish off then very quickly, I'm going to do a couple of predictions for the championship overall when I can bring up my championship page. Just going to flick through the fixtures in the championship this week and give a couple of predictions just to finish us off and give us a nice round finish. Reese says, might be tough to be a leader when you can't speak the language in regards to Gutas. He seems to be struggling a little bit with the pace of the game from what I've seen so far. Yeah, look, the championship is so fast compared to other divisions, other leagues, and I think it is a problem. And that's why, look, if you look at the three centre-backs, I think Panzo and McGuinness makes the best combination. They're both young and strong, decent enough on the ball. Panzo particularly is good on the ball. And I think McGuinness can be a leader in the future. I just don't think he's quite got the maturity yet. I think it'll come. Will has said Beluga's already shown he can be ruthless. He's already shown how ruthless he can be. No one is safe after a mediocre performance. Yeah, I mean, look, he's dropped Alnwick, who was in red hot form, and he pulled off Tanner, who everyone was screaming to start, and pulled him off at half time because he wasn't putting the work in. So maybe that doesn't mean necessarily that Gutas is going to be his guy. I don't know. So Friday the 15th, you've got two games. You've got Hull versus Coventry and Southampton versus Leicester. So I think Coventry will beat. Yeah, I think Coventry will beat Hull, But Hull have been in good form. It's at Hull as well. No, I'm going to go with a 1-1 draw there. Southampton versus Leicester, that's a big game. Southampton got a lot to prove because they got mollywopped the other day. They got absolutely spanked in their last game. So I'm going to go 2-1 Leicester. Blackburn, Middlesbrough. I'm going to go with 2-0 Blackburn. Middlesbrough have been poor this year so far. Bristol City, West Brom, 1-1. Huddersfield Town versus Rotherham. I'm going to go 2-0 Huddersfield. Norwich versus Stoke. 2-1 Stoke. Preston Plymouth, 3-0 Preston. QPR Sunderland. I'm going to go 3-1 Sunderland. Sheffield Wednesday Ipswich. 3-1 Ipswich. Watford versus Birmingham City. 2-2. Cardiff City versus Swansea City. Cardiff City 3. Swansea City 1. And then on Sunday we got Millwall versus Leeds. I think will be 1-1. There you go. There's my predictions for the championship. Very quick, very nice. Reese says, is that tactically naivety though? Tanner is an attacking forward winger whose game isn't defending. It's a bit like asking Rambo to be a box-to-box man. It is, but in that 4-2-3-1 system, your job as the wide player in the three is to support the fullbacks, so that they don't get doubled up on by the opposing fullback and winger or midfielder and striker. And Cardiff did get doubled up a little bit in that Ipswich game. So whilst I accept what you're saying, that I don't think it's naivety as such, because ultimately, if you're playing a role, whatever your role is, you've got to play that role. So if you're playing number 10 like Ramsey is, you don't have to do the defensive work. If Ramsey was playing as a 2 in a pivot, he's got to do the defensive work. You have to play the role that you're selected to play in the team. Doesn't matter what your natural game is or what you're best at. It's the role that you're playing for the team. It's a team game, and everyone has a role to play. Reese says, I get that, mate, but he's never done that defensive role. But I don't think it's not asking him to it's not asking him to do anything massively different. I've seen him do it in the EFL games, work back. It's just working back and getting yourself in the position that your fullback doesn't get overlapped or underlapped and doubled up on. You don't have to be like the defensive mind, of Britain or whatever. You just I don't know. I don't think it was that. So you said expected him to go out and just do it, and then dragging him out to the press afterwards is very unfair. So I thought the comments in the press were, I didn't think they were needed. Like, he could have just said, I wanted to make a tactical change without drawing any attention to it. But maybe he wanted to give him a bit of a kick up the bum. I don't know. So my thing with Tanner, if that's the reason that he brought him off and he wasn't happy with it, I do understand it, because Tanner has done that role in the EFL Cup and worked hard and worked back. So he obviously saw something that he wasn't doing in that game. So he's got to do it, mate. Hopefully it doesn't cost him long term, because I think he's attacking wise, he's been pretty good. Yes. So, guys, that's about it from me this evening. Basically, please do drop a comment after the live chat's finished. But most of all, tomorrow night, Rhodri Giggs on Football. Straight after Rhodri Giggs on Football, we've got the introduction episode of the Rise of the Panther series. It's basically a sit-down interview at Eat Sleep Media with myself and the manager, my good friend Gareth. And we just tell the story of the team. It's quite an emotional one, where like they had some bad times, you know. And then on Friday is the first episode of Rise of the Panthers. It's something I'm very proud of creating, something which I've done completely off my own back, completely myself. We filmed the game, so it's going to have match highlights, interviews with the players, the manager. It's going to be a proper little series every Friday night. So yeah, Friday night, game week 1, fights, goals, and more. Please check it out and share it and all the rest, because yeah, it's like a bit of a passion project, and it's something which I'm creating for the boys to have the memories for it. But also, it's a shitload of work, like filming it, edited it. I do it all myself at the moment. I am trying to get some film students on board to give them a bit of experience, so they can at least film it. So then I haven't got to try and do everything myself. But so if you know any film students or like broadcasting students or whatever who want experience in creating content, or you know someone who wants to just film some football matches on a Saturday morning, please do get in touch with me. If you know any local businesses around Cardiff and South Wales who would like to get involved and sponsor and stuff like that, please do get involved, because look, it's a very personal one to me. It's what I'm really excited by, but it's also one which I think if I can get a little bit of help, I think it'll do very well as well. But I want to tell the story of this team, and I want to tell the story of their personalities. These kids are from all over Cardiff, and it's so unusual for a group of 15-year-olds from all different schools. Teenagers are notoriously moody and argumentative and awkward. They're so close because of everything they've been through, and it's incredible to witness. And I kind of just want to share that with other people, whilst also creating something for them to have memories forever, and for their families and stuff. And ultimately, keep them off the streets, keep them off the Xbox, keep them off their phones, and keep them doing exercise and something positive with their time. Guys, as always, it's a pleasure. I'll see you tomorrow night. Local businesses, film students, or if you want to film some football, hit me up. Spread the word. Help me out a lot. I love you guys. Be good. And if you can't be good, make sure Cardiff City win. Come on, our Bluebirds!